How's it going, everyone? So I haven't really published a video in a while. I've been kind of taking a breather from YouTube, just taking a break from all the content that I've been making, and hopefully I'll get back into the swing of things. I'm still trying to figure out what content to make. As I scroll through YouTube right now, there's a bunch of AI stuff, Claude bot, Moltbot, stuff I just don't care about, honestly, but I'm trying to figure out where I can make content. And so hopefully we can figure that out soon. I can start making videos again. The first update is the Automaker project. We went ham on this over December. Like, we got this project up to 150,000 lines of code. It's over 2,000 commits. It's crazy. This thing blew up super fast from just using Claude code and using these agentic workflows to build this out. And we reached a point where this became so large that I don't want to really maintain it anymore. I know I'm abandoning another project that's like basically all I do is make a project and abandon it. But there are some learning things I want to kind of talk about with Automaker so that other people who start projects maybe don't fall into the same trap. The first thing I learned from Automaker is with AI, you can ship so much more code, so much more fast. And when you have an open source project, that means that all people over the world are shipping tons of AI generated pull requests your way. And you cannot review it, right? You end up reaching a bottleneck even with these AI tools where either you 100% trust everything that's coming in from the outside, you trust everything the LLM's generating, and you can move extremely fast if you do that. If you just blindly merge pull requests and you say YOLO, like everything, just ship it, you can move extremely fast. But as an engineer, and I've been doing this for like 13 years now as a professional software engineer, I don't trust doing that. And so I can't get that full efficiency gain. I'm kind of like, definitely above where I used to be because these tools have made me move faster, but I still want to review all the code, make sure that security issues aren't being submitted, and also make sure that the application works. I think one huge learning lesson I learned from Automaker is don't let scope creep blow up your project. When I started Automaker, we just had Claude code support, that's it. And we decided, let's add in codex support, let's add in cursor CLI support, let's add in open code support. We started adding all this stuff, which blows up the complexity of maintainability. We also try to support like running this in an API, running in a VPS. We try to support running in Electron, running locally in a web API. With everything that you support, even operating systems, like trying to get this to work on Mac and Windows and Linux, there's just too much at some point where unless you're actually making like a legit profit from what you're building, there's really no reason to work on this. I wasn't getting paid for Automaker and just building it for fun, but it reached a point where it actually started to feel like a job. Like maintaining this thing became like a full-time job, and I just didn't want to do it anymore. So one of the main updates from this video today is Automaker is MIT. We changed the license to be fully MIT. You can take this code, do whatever you want with it. We don't care. But we're no longer going to be adding features to it. We're not really going to be maintaining it unless there's like a giant bug fix or security issue. And I do think some of the core maintainers want to add some additional things real quick and hopefully get it to version 1. But yeah, overall, like I apologize for just abandoning this project, but I've learned my lesson. Scope creep can really make your project way too hard to maintain. And unless you have like a viable path to revenue or like donations, it's just not really worth it, in my opinion. But I had a lot of fun building out this project. I think we got it over to like 150,000 lines of code, like I mentioned. And, I learned a lot and met some really good developers on the core maintainer team. But yeah, this is the first update. Basically, I'm not working on Automaker anymore. But I will say that the reason I started on Automaker was because I felt like autonomous coding was becoming pretty big over December, and I wanted to make a segment on my course. So by the way, I do have a course, agenticjumpstart.com, where I talk about all of my workflows, how I use Cursor and Claude Code. I have like 12 and a half videos of content to help you become an agentic coder. Maybe you haven't dived into AI coding. It's extremely important that you do. I think using AI can make you extremely efficient. You can multitask now. You can work on many projects at the same time, kick off a prompt there, kick off a prompt over there. And if you're not leveraging these tools, I don't think you're fully becoming as productive as you could, and other developers are going to be outpacing you. That's the honest truth. People don't like hearing that, but that is the honest truth. And I do have a section about autonomous coding where I was going to probably talk about Automaker here, but since we're no longer maintaining Automaker, I decided to basically fork Automaker and prune it down to make something called Autoboard. So this is a really simple approach to Automaker. It's just a Kanban board. You can open a project folder, you can ideate on ideas, and then you can kind of have this run overnight. If I have my head, there's an auto mode up here. You click it on, and it just pulls over a card. It works on it, and then it pulls over the next card until it gets through your whole backlog. I do think this concept is good to understand because these agents can basically run forever now over your code base. And if you have enough, guardrails and enough feedback loops to help it just build out a better product, then something like Automaker or this Autoboard project can help you achieve that, or even like a Ralph loop. So I do think it's good to understand that, and which is why I want to still make a segment talking about autonomous coding here. But I wanted a simpler approach and a simpler project that I myself can just maintain and fix bugs if people were to put them up. So I will put the link to this in the description below if you're interested, but I do not plan to add in a ton of features and support like we did with Automaker. So what are some of the things that I've learned in the past couple of months about this autonomous coding approach? I have tried to build out a couple of different projects by basically just planning out a giant list of to-do items and then letting it run all night. I found I come back the next morning and you have a fully working application. It has a front end, it has a back end, you have your database schema, you have your ORM all hooked up, and you can run it and have a lot of cool features. But in doing so, I feel very disconnected from what's being built, and it's just no longer fun. And maybe that's because I've been coding for like 13 years professionally in the industry, and I have a very certain mindset already, and it's hard for me to break out of that mindset. But for some reason, it's no longer fun coding and even doing the job with this, which is why I don't even want to work on Automaker, because I think it's just a way to, we're fully automating too much. I do think having a human in the loop, planning out what comes next, slowing down and checking stuff manually for security issues and performance issues is still important, which is why I still just basically use Claude Code and Cursor on my day-to-day. I use it all the time at work. I do it on my side projects, and I found myself just going back to the terminal because it just feels like it's a, dare I say, a more elegant approach to doing agentic coding. It gives you more flexibility. Claude Code has all these tools hooked in automatically, like sub-agents and skills, and just basically making a wrapper around that just seems kind of pointless. Like the terminal is good enough. I guess that's one thing I kind of learned by using Automaker for a while, is that like the Kanban idea is cool to help someone ease into agentic coding and ease into these autonomous coding systems. But at the end of the day, most engineers, I think, would rather just use a CLI tool. And a lot of the core maintainers that I've talked to still just use the CLI tool to build out their apps. So that's kind of what I learned, is that although this is a cool approach, I don't use it. And I don't want to spend time building out something and maintaining something that I don't even use. Okay, so I think that's also another reason why I don't want to work on Automaker anymore. All right, so I guess some more updates. What are my plans for this channel? What is what content am I going to make? Because I'm finding it hard to sit down and record a video now. Like everything just doesn't seem enjoyable to me. Making videos about AI model updates isn't that fun, but I still want to teach how to code. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depends on how you look at it, doing agentic coding is the way that we code now, right? I have talked to many people who have been working in the industry even longer than me, and they also say that, you know, agentic coding is the way forward. There's someone I talked to who basically has a $50,000 monthly recurring revenue, and he doesn't write any code now. He just keeps prompting Claude Code and prompts Cursor to add in features. And you can basically build out full-scale applications now without ever touching the code. So I do think it's important to understand the workflows that make that more efficient, and understanding how to code, like being a senior engineer, can help you become a lot more efficient as well. So don't let my promotion of agentic coding make you think that you don't need to become an expert at software engineering, because you still do. You're going to hit a bottleneck at some point, unless these models can become so good that we 100% trust everything they're doing, which they are getting better. Every couple of months, they seem like they're getting better, but you still have to kind of guide it. And having that human in the loop is just the best way to make it become the best user experience of an application and have the best security and the best performance. So I think what I'm going to do on this channel is maybe try to start a SaaS series. So I'm going to try to just pick one SaaS idea. I'm going to try to build it from the ground up, and when I get time, record like an hour session of me prompting Cursor and Claude Code, adding in new features, and eventually get it deployed out and hopefully get our first user. I think that could be pretty interesting to watch for those who want to get more into agentic coding. That'll be some free content. And then, of course, I'll be promoting my course, which has all of the tips and tricks that I learned along the way with agentic coding. By the way, if you want a coupon code, I'll put it in the description below. You can get 15% off on the course. Act now. I think I'll probably only let it work for the first like 50 customers or something. But that's kind of the, what's been going on. I've been taking a little break from YouTube, trying to get back into it, trying to force myself to make a video every day. So hopefully I can keep to that. And, thank you all for reaching out. I think a lot of people reached out asking like, hey, am I okay? Yeah, I'm doing fine. Just kind of, taking a little break. I think it's good to take a little rest days from like making content. It is kind of exhausting being on a camera and talking and trying to think about new ideas, and just giving myself like a month or two off was well needed in my opinion. But I do need to lock in. I need to keep making content because I do, I do think it's important to teach this type of stuff. So yeah, I guess leave a comment below if there's anything that's changed over the past couple of months of like how you're doing agentic coding, or still using, these Codex 5.3. Here's a really great model now. Opus 4.6 came out. I've been using that at work and it works great too. It's a lot more one prompting, right? I just one prompt the feature, I go review it, I commit it, I go to the next feature. It's basically reached the point where you can like one prompt a lot of stuff. And often the hard part now is making sure you got the business requirements nailed down the first time correct. So the old saying, measure twice, cut once. I do think that's true for agentic coding too. If you can plan and make sure that everything is good and, cross-reference your markdown file to make sure it's perfect and aligns with all your business use cases and all the edge cases, you can do very good. You can get basically one-shot plans that implement everything you need. But it's when you don't have clear business requirements or you have gaps in your requirements, that's where you end up having to come back and reprompting over and over again. And then you get it deployed somewhere, someone verifies and you missed something because that wasn't documented in the user story. You come back and you add it again. Anyway, at this point, just rambling, so I just wanted to make this video. I kind of just wanted to force myself to make a video and publish it out there so I can kind of get back on the horse. But that's about it. If you guys have any suggestions, leave them in the comments below. Other than that, thanks for checking in with me. Have a good day and happy coding.